What's going on, everybody? This is Rick Adams. We got Jack Farris on the line. The Colorado Avalanche are the Stanley Cup winners, folks. Let's talk about it. Got plenty to talk about. We got Jack Farris phoning in on the line. Jack, say what's going on.
What's up, Rick? What's up, listeners? Jack Farris here, live on the road, doing a little Carcast. Just to talk about the Cup real quick, I guess, Jack Farris's pick that Tampa was going to win it at home was wrong. But you know what? I'm a man of my word. I was wrong, and Colorado's a damn good team. I knew they were good, but they wound up being a lot better than I thought they were going to be. And they're the champs. They're the new standard now. So all credit to them. They played a great game.
Absolutely. You got to give credit where it's deserved. They beat the two-time Stanley Cup champs, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now we got a new dog in front here. We got the Colorado Avalanche rising to the top. And I don't want to say who would have thunk it, but it's like it's nice to see. I'm really happy for guys like McKinnon, Cale Makar. I'm really happy for a guy like Eric Johnson, to be honest with you. I've been with them forever. That's good to see guys like that. I like Kadri, so definitely good to see guys like that definitely get their piece of the prize there. And hey, I bet there's more to come. Yeah, Jack Johnson too, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Jack Johnson's a guy not many people think about. He was actually on the Rangers a little bit last year.
That's right.
Was it last year? Yeah, I think it was last year. He was with them for a little while. But, he's been through a lot in his life and his hockey career. So, he's bounced around quite a bit. And, he won a cup, and that's good to see. Like I said, I don't know if you know the backstory with him. His parents kind of screwed him financially.
Yep, heard about that. Yeah, it was weird. Weird shit.
Yeah, they took like a ton of loans out in his name, and like they kind of stole a lot of his money that he made and stuff. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, good to see a veteran like him win. Andrew Cogliano. One guy I was looking at that I thought was interesting, Darren Helm, the guy that scored the big goal against the Blues. He won with the Detroit Red Wings in 2008.
Yep.
When the last cup they won. And now he's, that's pretty cool. I mean, you were part of the 2008 Red Wing Cup, and now you're part of the 22 Avalanche Cup. So, a lot of good vets winning it. And, McKinnon definitely needed to win a cup. He wasn't going to be satisfied until he won one. He's one of the elite centermen in the game. You could argue top three, honestly. So, yeah, it was a good series, and it was a fun game. I was really rooting for Tampa. I thought they were going to tie it up and, go to a Game 7. But, Colorado got it done. So, all the credit to them for sure. And interesting thing about Colorado, too, is that so many of their guys are still so young. Like their core is pretty much locked up. I know they got McKinnon done on extension soon. But, they got a lot of young pieces. And like I've said before, we talked about it in the last podcast, how good is Bowen Byram look?
I know.
Guy looks great.
I know.
He looks like he's going to be a stud. And, their blue line is looking real good. If you got Byram and Makar, and, if they keep Sam Girard around, who knows if they can with the cap space. But if they keep him, he's a good player, too. So,
yeah.
Look, they built a real good team. Joe Sakic did a great job. I give him a lot of credit.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Sakic wins a cup, right, in 2001, right, with Colorado. Now, 21 years later, he's the manager and wins a cup with Colorado. You got to love it. You mentioned Bowen Byram, man. Like I like Bowen Byram. I call him Big Bad Bowen Byram. He's good. He's shifty too. He's good. He's not afraid to get physical too. That's another thing. That's why he's all around great. And he's young. He's got so much more room for growth and all that. And like you said, their core is pretty much locked up. I mean, you mentioned McKinnon and whatnot, but it's pretty good. I mean, you get your top 4D right there. I mean, you named off Girard. I know he got hurt, but Girard, Bowen Byram, Taves, and Makar, you cannot go wrong. Can they afford all of them? That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the question. I mean, hey, maybe guys.
I don't know how I forgot Taves.
What?
Taves. I said I don't know how I forgot that with Taves to mention him because he's unbelievable too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Listen, we all know that. Congrats to him winning a cup. Wasn't going to do it with the Islanders anytime soon, so I'm sure he's happy. I'm sure he's been happy. But, listen, I wonder if you're gonna start seeing like guys like what does Cale Makar make, like 9 million something or whatever, 8 million whatever. He probably makes something like that, right? And then I wonder if Bowen Byram really wants to max out. It's almost. I know we got a couple of years till that, but it's just. I think it's actually 1 or 2 more years now. Jeez. But no, you listen. You gotta wonder, like, are people gonna start? Are hockey players gonna start taking pay cuts to keep that solid team around? To keep that, to be a part of a really good team. Like, how they talk about with football guy, like Brady takes pay cuts to build an offense around him and stuff like that. So I wonder if you start to see that. And I don't want to say pay cuts. I know we spoke about this in other podcasts. I meant to say, like, mostly on guys looking for the new deal. They're expiring, and hey, they could use this. The GMs, somebody like Sakic can use it as leverage. Like, hey, we just won a Stanley Cup. Look at the core guys. Do you mind taking only 3.8 million instead of 5.8? I don't know, 6.8. Whatever. So. I can't wait to see how that rolls out and stuff.
Well, that's going to be interesting with McKinnon's contract. Because look, that guy's so good that he's probably worth fucking $15 million a year. But at the end of the day, like, I'm sure Sack is going to sit him down and be like, hey, like, we're going to pay you. We're going to give you an 8-year contract. But if you take 8.5 sounds too light. But like, if he takes $9 million. Or even $9.5 million instead of 11.
Right.
That's a big difference. They know that now they could go get a solid defenseman, or they could, they could keep around a guy like Kadri maybe, or they could keep around like, when Bowen Byram's contract comes up, they could get him locked in. Like that stuff matters. You save a few here and there. It all depends on how much he believes in the team, and how much he wants to be there, I guess. But
exactly. It's going to be something cool to see. I think. I have a feeling we might see it. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. That's. I feel like that's another topic and everything, but that's awesome. Conn Smythe winner, Cale Makar, second youngest defenseman to win it since Bobby Orr. The second youngest defenseman to win it since Bobby Orr. That alone is just crazy to me. I could have sworn other people won it, like young, from age wise. That he's the second youngest to win the Conn Smythe since Bobby Orr. That's amazing to me. I had to look it up. I was texting you, Jack. I was like, I couldn't believe it. And then I was like, oh shit, all right. But I mean, well deserved. How could it led the team in points? How could you not? He deserved it. So
yeah, he's unbelievable. He's like, as soon as he stepped into the league, you could tell he was a good player and he was impressive. But like, he's just taken it to a whole other level.
Right.
It's like there's no question now that he's so good. He's not only like, and if you watch him play and pay attention to him too, like obviously his offense is there, but like he's not. I'm not saying he's like McAvoy where he's going to truck it, like play someone out and like be a defensive defenseman, but like he's not afraid to like get throw some hits and like get physical and play. He's got good gap control. He's an amazing skater. Like he's an all-around very good defenseman. He's going to be that's why when people say he's the best defenseman in the league, like I believe it. Like, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I know Victor Hedman is pretty good, and you got a lot of other guys that are good, but he may really be the best defenseman in the league. I don't know. Like that's not. I don't think that's out of line to say that. Like he's just that good offensively, and like I said, you pay attention, you watch his defensive game too. It's if you know hockey and you know how it's played, like you can see his hockey IQ is through the roof. Like
yeah, it is.
Gap control in the guy. It's sick, like so.
Yeah, most guys are one step.
We can talk for hours about how good guy is.
Oh yeah, 100%. Listen. Most guys are one step ahead, but I feel like this guy is 2 steps ahead. Him and McDavid are 2 steps ahead. I've been saying it. Cale Makar is the defenseman version of Connor McDavid. I swear. He might not put up 100 points, but that's because he plays fucking defense. You know what I mean? I think from skating wise and just hockey IQ and being so agile and quick on his feet, I think I don't know. That's what I'm calling him now. I've been saying that. I mentioned that before. Listen, the guy almost scored fucking 30 goals. The guy almost scored 30 goals this season as a defenseman. Come on.
I know.
It's insane.
Yeah,
It's
he's
just
unbelievable.
yeah. So
It's like we don't even have to really, I imagine most of the people that listen to our podcast are big hockey fans, so it's like I almost feel like stupid even sitting here and talking about how good Cal McCarr is.
Yeah, I know.
Like you guys all know how fucking good that guy is.
Yeah,
right?
it's no secret. Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely it's definitely no secret. I want to know. You know what's funny is no, it's funny. I feel bad, but I don't want to see anybody hurt. I wonder what Kucherov was really playing. I want to see what playing with injury wise. I want to know what he was struggling with because he was not himself. That wasn't 100% Kucherov. I think we all know that. I thought Stamkos played great all playoffs. Since round one. What else more can you ask for? But Kucherov. So I saw. I don't know. Just you saw it in Kuch. You saw it in him. So. You gotta wonder what was going on with him. I know in the NHL they're very like touchy with telling you what the injury is. It's always upper body, lower body, or concussion protocol. It's never his right leg or whatever. It's always or his hip. So wonder what it was.
Yeah, and what I was gonna say is that I truly believe Braden Point was healthy all series and he was playing. This may be a different series because I really believe he's that good of a player.
Me too.
You got to remember,
he's good. He's great.
Point barely played. He barely played in the playoffs. So
right.
If they would add Braden Point, I think things would have been different. You can never make excuses for injuries because every team deals with them. That happens to every team. But I think Tampa did have some injuries going on. Like I said, especially Point. Like having, arguably, like Stamkos is their number one center, but like
right.
Point definitely could be. He's that good.
Right.
He does so much for them. But yeah, Kucherov was probably laboring a little bit. He was probably battling something. I forgot. I don't know if it was like his wrist or his something lower body, but he was definitely banged up.
Definitely.
That's what happens every playoff series with every team.
Yeah.
So not surprised, but. Yeah, look, I'm kind of at a loss for words. I really thought Tampa was going to win. I kind of secretly wanted them to three-peat. I know my dad and a bunch of my friends were saying I'm crazy because they kind of they beat the Rangers and that was like a rough series there. But I don't know. I like John Cooper a lot as a coach. I like some guys in Tampa. I thought it would have been cool to see them three-peat. But either way, it's just you got to give Tampa their credit too. They were literally 2 games away from winning 3 cups in a row.
Yeah.
So, they're still an awesome team, obviously. But other than that, definitely impressed with Colorado. Definitely impressed with their skill, their speed, and that's what won them the game.
Oh yeah. They were all over them.
I really thought. Yeah, I thought maybe Tampa would beat up on them a little, but they just Colorado wasn't intimidated. They were able to play a little physical too, and they got it done, plain and simple. Darcy Kemper stood his ground and played well.
Yeah.
I thought that may be the downfall.
I thought so too, man.
Him, but I knew Colorado was very good up front, and they were going to score goals, and they were going to be tough to defend. But I knew how good Vasilevsky was, and that you have him in net, you have a chance to win every night. And Darcy Kemper was a little shaky during the season, so I thought that goaltending would be the edge for Tampa and maybe the downfall for Colorado. But I was wrong. Kemper got it done, and now they're celebrating. Colorado Avalanche won the cup, and it's cool to see. Because McKinnon gets it, and Landis was able to get it. You go back to that trade, that Duchesne trade, when Joe Sakic made that trade, a lot of people are doing a trade already, but he didn't rush that trade. He was patient and took his time, and that's exactly how they got Bowen Byram. That's how they drafted him with that pick, because that was actually Ottawa's pick they got in the Duchesne trade. So they got Bowen Byram and Sam Girard out of that trade for Duchesne. And that was of Joe Sakic not rushing to make a trade just for the sense of making a trade. So that's the interesting part too. We can sit here and watch the game and talk about guys' skill sets and how they play and stuff. End of it, make a making the right moves and drafting the right guys. All that stuff really counts. And this is pay off.
Jack, you're going in and out on us,
now
Jack.
You see it paying off for Colorado.
You still there? We hear you, but you're going in and out a little bit. We gotta wonder if you're driving or you're parked.
What's that, Rick? You can't hear me?
Well,
I'm in the car.
We just heard you loud and clear there. I went in and out a little bit, but you were mentioning about the Duchesne trade. You were mentioning about how they got, what was it, 2 picks. They picked Gerard. They got Bowen Byram. Great acquisitions, as everybody in the world can tell right now. Anybody who follows hockey can tell it's probably one of the greater trades that is less talked about, for sure. That's what I think, honestly.
100%. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if you guys heard. I might have cut out a little bit. One of us has bad service, but no big deal. What I was basically saying was that you see the management decisions pay off too when the GMs make good deals. Duchesne trade that Joe Sakic made, a lot of people in the media and everywhere else were saying, "Oh, trade him already." But he was patient, and that's how they got that. I think it was a 5th-round pick from Ottawa for Byram, and of course that year was kind of like no one thought Ottawa was going to be that bad, but still, they got that pick, and they got Sam Girard out of it from Nashville in the 3-way trade. So, Sakic was that's where you see these decisions pay off each year. Drafting the right guys, making the right trades, and just good management, good asset management by these GMs.
Right.
And you've seen it for 2 years. You've seen the examples of that for 2 years with Tampa, and now you see it with Colorado. The drafting the right guys and making the right moves, and giving the right guys the right contracts and whatnot. So that, that's usually how it's done. You get a team that makes a ton of mistakes and just mistake after mistake. Usually they're not going anywhere. I mean, look at, we know Chicago, like Blackhawks, because I know it's a little off topic, but just as an example, you go back to their days winning the Cups. Obviously they were such a good team for a while. But ever since they won that last cup, they just made bad decision after bad decision.
Right.
And I think that's why they're just not a great team anymore. They made bad trades. I think they made bad signings. Like, they get rid of guys that are good. And, that's like maybe I can't think of another one off the top of my head, Rick, but like that's one example of like a mismanagement, I think.
Yeah. I mean, what else isn't?
Even Boston to an extent. Not that I think Boston's a well-run like franchise and whatnot, but they made a lot of bad draft picks and they made some questionable trades and stuff like that. So that stuff comes back to bite you sometimes. And I'm not saying it's an easy job being a general manager in the NHL, but those guys like Joe Sakic and Julien Brisebois, Steve Yzerman, those types of guys, they make the right moves, and more times than not they are. I guess everyone makes mistakes at some point, but the guys that are making the right moves more often than not are the ones that are probably going to win championships.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you got to have good management, and that comes down with almost anything in life, right? So, yeah, no, listen, you just hit the nail on the head. It was very well said, actually. It was a great take right there. You've seen teams get burned with moves they make, and then obviously teams that are success seasons, whether they win the cup or make the cup. So, you got to give it to, I always fuck up his last name, Julien Brisebois, right? I mean, look at him for the past 2 years. So, you got to give credit where it's due. And I wonder who's going to win GM of the year. I think Joe Sakic wins it now that he won the cup. I think we find out when it's the NHL Draft. So we find out then. And, I mean, you got to give it to Sakic, right?
It's got to be Sakic.
It's got to be. How is it not? Gotta be. How is it not, So we'll see. I think it is. My money, if you could bet on it, I'd bet on that. But, I want to touch up on something real quick, real brief. I don't want to spend too much time on it. You were mentioning earlier before that every team struggles with injuries, and you can't like make up too many excuses. But what do you think when it's like your whole team, not your whole team, but like let's say your top line, you know what I mean? Let's say your top line and your goalie's out. What do you? I mean, obviously you have a leg to stand on, right? I mean, if your top goalie is out, right?
I mean, yeah.
And I'm not saying anybody was. I'm just saying hypothetically, if your top line is out, right, and your goalie's out, I mean, what do you know? It's clear as day.
I think it.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I think that I mean, anyone with half a brain could tell, like, oh yeah, like I don't know, say like, you know, say the Rangers had Panarin, Zibanejad, Kreider all out, and Fox out. Like, people are gonna, you know, they don't need to necessarily make excuses, but everyone's gonna know, like, oh look how many fucking injuries we have. Like, you know, it's a real issue. Obviously, I mean, those are our best players. They're top paid players for a reason. But I think it goes back to asset management and these general managers that draft well and keep a good farm team in place. And, like, they're always bringing guys up they can plug into the lineup. And I think Pittsburgh did a really good job of that for years. I think Tampa Bay has done a great job of that. They just bring these guys up from the minors that plug in and play well. You know, like Ross Colton and Cal Foote and, you know, all these guys, like, they've drafted well for years and years, you know. Just go back and look at their draft picks. I mean, Palat was like a 7th-round pick. So you look at teams that draft well and have the right guys in their system, whether in the AHL or, you know, the right college signings or whatever it may be. I think that comes into effect. You know, if you have just it's one of those things. You need depth. You need depth, and you need quality depth. You know, you're not going to win if, you know, most of the players in your team aren't that good, and you got one superstar. Because that superstar, you know, whether that superstar's in the lineup or not, like, you're just not going to win. It's not going to happen. It just goes back to having depth. It really does. You need depth throughout your lineup, and the way you acquire that depth is through the draft,
right.
And, you know, maybe signing the right free agents through, you know, through the college system or, you know, through free agency, I guess, if you're not overpaying, you know. But that's really what it comes down to is the scouting and the drafting. The guys that scout and draft well, you know, the guys that, like I said, like Tampa Bay, look at their draft pick over they were able for so many years to draft even in later rounds great players. You know, Anthony Cirelli, I don't know if he was a 2nd or 3rd round pick. Braden Point was a little bit later on pick. Palat was a late pick. Vasilevsky, I don't think, was really a high pick. These guys that they draft they're able to draft players not in the top 10, top 15, where, like, any team can do it, right?
Right.
You know, that's how you replenish your team, and that's how you have players in the AHL ready to step in. You know, you
Absolutely.
Draft the right guys, you put them in the right environment, in the right system, and, you know, the AHL teams, if they have the right staff down there developing these guys, and they, you know, it starts with the scouting. They scout them, they draft them, and then they develop them the right way. That's how you,
to be fair,
combat injuries.
To be fair, absolutely, to an extent. But I'll tell you what, no matter how good your system is and your drafting is and your coaching is, right, to an extent, I don't think that depth guy that you're going to call up to fill in, let's just say, hypothetically, Nathan McKinnon's role, he is not going to be Nathan McKinnon on that level. Can he play according to the system that's in place? Maybe, yeah, probably, because he's in the organization. But I don't think let's just, like you said before, you lose a Kreider, Zibanejad, Fox. Like, anybody you're bringing up is not really going to fully replace that role. You know, they're not filling those shoes. That's why I feel like that's once in a blue moon where you're like, it's just a standout superstar that the Rangers or whoever called up, you know, and they're filling the boots of Chris Kreider, and he fucking has a 4-goal game, or like a Derek Stepan debut. Remember, what is it? He scored a hat trick in his debut back then. Remember that? I think I was at your house watching that, actually. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, in hockey, in the NHL, it's all about the salary cap, right? Because
true. Yep.
We spoke about this before. Toronto Maple Leafs fans have to know what I'm talking about, because they, you know, like, Tampa Bay did a good job at cap management, I think. And I think Colorado did a good job of cap management,
oh, yeah.
too. Usually it's the teams that do that. I think it's two things to combat injuries and to have depth throughout your lineup, at quality depth. I'm not just talking about, a guy just a plug in that could play some minutes, like quality depth players. Look at Tampa's depth. It's Alex Killorn. It's Ross Colton, Belmar. You could even say Cirelli most of the time, even though he's like more than just a depth player. He's a really good player, but they have their depth is quality depth, like guys that can contribute every night.
Oh yeah.
So the way you get that is definitely through scouting and drafting, but also cap management. Because guess what? If they're paying Stamkos $12 million a year, like they're paying Matthews, and if they're paying Braden Point $11.5, like they're paying Marner, and if they were paying Victor Hedman
$10 million, like they're
paying $9 million, or I don't really know how much Morgan Riley's making, but you get my point. Like all of Toronto's players are paid so high, and that's where it hurts them because.
Absolutely.
A team like Toronto only has so much cap space to work with. They can't really acquire. They can't go out and get a guy like Anthony Cirelli or Killorn, really, because they can't afford it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, listen, 100%. We've seen it. We've seen it. It's what's going on today in these playoffs and previous is spitting image of it. So.
And look at Colorado too. I mean, on Colorado's end, they have their Eric Johnson. He's making a lot of money, but he's a good third pairing defenseman. He's a veteran, but their bottom six is pretty damn good. I mean, they found Nichushkin. They revitalized Nichushkin's career. He went there.
That's what I wanted to talk about was Nichushkin, man. Nichushkin, Jesus, I can't even talk right now. Him and Burakovsky, man. What a duo. I love that line. Nichushkin and Burakovsky. That's great. And Burakovsky came from what? The Capitals, right? He won a cup with them in 2018.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened with Burakovsky, if that was a trade or a signing.
I don't think they re-signed him. I think he left.
He won a cup with Washington, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In 2018, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was Jacob Verana, who's on Detroit now, a part of that? Was he a part of that in 2018 as well? That I was a little, not to get all sidetracked a little bit with Washington, but I remember seeing like those two leave, and I was like, what the fuck? I thought that was weird. Verana and Burakovsky, leaving in 2018.
Well, Verana, no. Well, that's a totally different trade. I mean, Verana went to Detroit
for Mantha. That's right. Yep, that's right.
But that's besides the point, though. My point really was, I guess Arturi Lekkonen's really not a good example. His cap hit right now is really low. So actually, a team like Toronto probably could have afforded him. But their bottom six, was better than I thought. You mentioned Burakovsky. You mentioned Nichushkin revitalized.
Compher played great. JT Compher played great.
JT Compher makes like $3 million or something like that. Like they were good at managing their cap. They had quality depth pieces. Like I said, Compher,
very good.
Nichushkin, Burakovsky, Andrew Cogliano.
Yeah, Cogliano. I gotta love that he got one now. Yep.
Darren Helm. Alex Newhook is probably going to be a very good player within the next couple of years. We add him down there too. So, I think it's just drafting, developing, and not overpaying players. Like you can't have like your third line winger making $7 million. Like it's just not going to work.
No, I don't think that ever works. Nope, definitely not. Definitely not. You don't want to pay
unless it's like baseball where there's no cap,
right.
Listen, I'm not an MLB expert, but I don't think there's a salary cap.
No, there isn't.
Right? So they could kind of, like the Yankees could just pay whatever they want. They just write a check. They got the money,
Oh yeah. You don't want to sign a you don't want to sign a guy like Andrew Ladd to $5.5 million a year and then have him play on the third line or barely play. That's not ideal. Oh, it's a fucking nightmare.
No, definitely not.
That was a fucking nightmare. Listen, I think it was a great playoff Stanley Cup final. I think it was better than the past year for sure. I wasn't really a fan of last series. last year's final series with Montreal versus Tampa, I kind of already knew Tampa was going to win. I think the final was 4-1, if not 4-2. It was not ideal. It just, I don't know. I didn't think it was something that was great to watch. But, yeah, listen, I'm not upset. I'm not bitter. I'm content. I'm very happy to see somebody else win. And listen, even if Tampa three-peated, hey, it's really cool to see that in our lifetime, So, whatever. It's all good.
I was kind of rooting for Pat Maroon to win his 4th cup in a row. That would have been
I know.
Cool, but...
I know. Yeah, it's crazy. That's another thing. Go ahead.
No, I wasn't sure if you had anything left to talk about with Game 6. Like, if anything popped out at you that you.
One thing I want to mention is that if I don't know if and listeners, let us know in the comments. Let us know. I don't know if anybody saw this, but towards the end, I think it was maybe the final 28 seconds. I actually texted you. I don't know what was up with that waved off icing at the end. I think there was going to be like 15 seconds left if there was an icing, maybe even more. I don't understand it was a clear icing, and then they just didn't call it. They waved it off, and then Tampa played it. I didn't understand that. I even rewound it at the end of the game just to see something, and yeah, I was kind of scratching my head. I really couldn't figure out why. Maybe did the defenseman say, hey, wave it off? I mean, I don't know why you would do that, but what the fuck else is it? The goalie was pulled, so I don't understand.
The only thing I could think of is they thought Hedman was, able to get to the puck or maybe either hustle there quick enough or something. I think at a certain length, it, becomes the referee's discretion to pick if it's going to be an icing, if it's not a clear-cut icing, so I don't know. But whatever. Bottom line is Colorado won, and must not have been too big of a deal because you didn't see Cooper or anyone else.
Right? No, true. Well, that's another thing. That's what was weirding me out. I was like, how are they not freaking out? I mean, I thought it was a clear icing, and whatever. I just thought that was strange. Let us know what you think, listeners. No, listen. Aside from that,
what do you think about?
Oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, I as far, it's pretty, I think we covered pretty much everything. I mean, Game 6 was Game 6. It's a good game for sure. Definitely, especially towards the end. I was on the edge of my seat watching it, but.
Oh, yeah. What were you going to ask me?
Colorado
you were going to say, what do I think of what?
I just think, what I was going to say is, what do you think about Kadri? Do you think they're going to be able to keep him? Can they afford him?
What do you think his asking price is? I don't know their current cap situation. But
well, I know they don't have a ton of cap space, but they have some. They're actually, for a team that just won the cup and has a lot of good players, I don't think they're in a horrible cap situation. But I do, you got to wonder if Kadri likes his situation there and decides to stay for less money, because I'm sure if he really wanted to, he could go to Winnipeg or I can't, a team with cap space that could afford him. But
I think he's going to stay there. I don't see him leaving because there's always
Colorado might go to him and say, hey, we can afford $6 million if you want to.
Right. I was going to say I could see him being at $6 million. I was actually just going to say 6.5. Hey, listen, if they could afford that, I mean, you got to wonder, they're probably going to lose a guy like Helm. I know he might not make fucking $4.8 million or anything, but they're going to lose him. I don't think Jack Johnson will stay. I mean, these guys are up there. They're probably going to retire. Maybe not Jack Johnson. I could see him playing one more year as a depth piece, But I mean, Helm, he's got to retire, right? He's what? He's 38, 39, something like that. So, we'll see. I think it wouldn't be crazy if Kadri got $6 million, 6.5. I think it's well deserved. He's second line center, he's proven himself. And I think he wants to stay just because, I think you heard it at the end of the when they were celebrating. He's like, everybody who said I'm a liability can kiss my ass. So I think he likes where he's at, especially given the fact that he just won a cup. I always liked Kadri. People can cry and bitch and complain that, he's dirty, but like, listen, the guy's a hockey player. He plays hard. Listen, Marchand's dirty, but a lot of people like Marchand. So, it's all subjective. If you like him because he's a good hockey player, you like him. If you're a crybaby because he's dirty, you're a crybaby. You fucking, it is what it is. I mean, you like him or you hate him. You love him or hate him. I don't think it's a guy that's like, he's all right. I kind of whatever. I think it's either you love him or hate him. So I like him. I love him. Whatever.
I like him. I just think I like him as a player for sure. I just think he's 32, and I think he's 32, and he's going to be looking for a lot of money. I mean, let's put it this way: I wouldn't want the Rangers signing him for 6-7 years at $7 million or something like that, because I like him, but I don't believe in him for the. No,
he'll probably get 3 years for $6 million. If he's really 32.
His agent's going to try. It's easy to say that, but his agent's going to try to get him a longer-term deal. He's going to try to give him as much money as possible. I think the contract he's on right now that he signed with Toronto when he was still with them, it was only like $4 million or $4.5 million. So I'm sure this contract will be his last contract, and he's going to try to get as much money as possible.
4 years.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he loves Colorado that much.
He's 31. He's 31 right now. He turns 32 on October 6th. I'm gonna call it now. 4 years, $6.3 million.
That's not bad. If you're Colorado, I feel like you do that if you got the cap space for it.
I think. As long as you have the cap, I just don't see it. I just don't see why you wouldn't.
Yeah. I think a guy that should definitely try to keep is Lection. The way he plays down the stretch for them, and he's like a smart player, and he's still young. He's like 27 maybe, so that's the guy that should try to keep for sure.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they're gonna have to get rid of. Cogliano might retire, Helm might retire, Jack Johnson might retire, so they got to fill those gaps. But I think they got guys in their system, and then you could always sign those free agents that are available for the depth pieces. That float up and down or healthy scratches, but they're always practicing. So we'll see. We'll save that for the whole off-season talk. I can't wait for that. I think we covered really pretty much everything, unless you got more to say. I mean, I don't want to dive into every single detail of Game 5, Game 4, and this and that. I mean, it's really. What are we gonna say? Colorado won. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, Colorado won. This is what it is, and that's
well, no, I mean,
that's
listen,
all, folks.
Or we don't have to do that. Our listeners are probably pretty educated. You're only listening to us if you like hockey, I imagine, unless you're just real loyal Jack Farris, Rick Adams fans. But you guys don't need us breaking down every play. You guys watch the game. I'm sure you guys know what's going on. So,
right. Yeah, it wouldn't be breaking news or anything.
Yeah, listen, Congrats, Colorado. They played a great series. I mean, off topic from the Stanley Cup championship now. I mean, one thing that happened about a week ago now is Tortorella to Philly,
right,
as their head coach.
Yep.
I like that fit. On that a little bit. I
like that fit. Yeah, no, listen, I like that fit. A hard-nosed guy with a hard-nosed team. Maybe he could bring that smash mouth Flyers hockey back. I don't know. A lot of people hate Torts. I don't know. He's tough, and I get it. Like, he didn't get along with superstars like Line, I believe, and like all this stuff. But I don't know.
I mean, look, the guy won a cup in the past, and
right.
A lot of players. Some players hate him. Some players love him.
Right.
So I think Philly's an interesting team because they have some nice pieces there, but they're also, like, I wouldn't, call them, a great team yet at all.
No.
I think if they get Kevin Hayes back healthy for the full year, I think that'll help. I do like Hayes. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's a superstar, but he's definitely a good player. Couturier was also hurt a lot last year for most of the season. So you get Couturier and Hayes back healthy, you wonder what they do at the deadline. Like I said, this isn't the podcast that we're diving into all the free agent talk and trade talk and all the stuff that I'm sure at some point we'll review each team and give our insight on each team.
Oh, yeah.
But
we will.
Just to touch on it briefly, I mean, Johnny Gaudreau is not signed yet with Calgary.
Right.
He's from
He's
the
definitely gonna test.
Philly area, South Jersey. He's from the Philly area. I think he lives in Jersey, but he's from the Philly area, like right near Philly. And Kevin Hayes is his boy. They played in Boston College together. So you do wonder if they have the cap space, they can fit Gaudreau in. Adding Gaudreau to their lineup automatically changes that whole team, no doubt. First of all, so we'll see what happens there. It's a little too early to talk about that, I guess. We got to wait a little bit, but
yeah,
I think Tortorella might be able to whip them in shape and get more out of them, especially if he gets back Hayes and Couturier and gets them playing. Those guys were both hurt. Those are two big parts of their team. So I do think they need to do something on defense. Like Provorov had a bad year. He's supposed to be an elite defenseman, but the last couple of years you haven't really seen it. One thing I was looking at that was interesting, I remember they traded for Ryan Ellis from Nashville, the right-handed shot D-man, who's a good D-man, but he was hurt like the entire year. He had some bad injury. I don't know what it was. If it was like an ACL or something like that. Whatever it was, he couldn't play the whole year. So, I mean, just that alone, if you get Ellis back and then you get Couturier and Hayes healthy the whole season, that can make a difference. And then Tortorella kind of motivate them and pushing the right buttons.
Yep.
Philly's one of those teams. I'm intrigued with it. I want to see what Tortorella could do. I want to see how much, I could see them taking a step. Like Jack Farris calls it right now, Philly makes the playoffs.
Philly makes the playoffs. Jeez. Maybe. I mean.
Yeah.
Listen,
I'll agree. If they add a piece and they shore up their blue line a little.
I'd agree with you if they sign Gaudreau and they fix their blue line a little bit and it stays healthy. Because Carter Hart showed promise. I think he's solid. I think he's a great goalie, to be honest with you. Last season might not prove it, but I think he's good. I think there's I think there's a bright future with him there. Well, maybe if not there, but a bright future in his career. I'd agree with you if they make the playoffs, if they sign Gaudreau and fix their blue line, or at least stay healthy with a blue line. But we'll dive into that. We'll dive into that for sure. Yeah, this is my favorite part, really, is the offseason. To get to talk about every single move, projections.
A little too early for next season predictions. We'll save that for a pod in a few weeks or something like that.
No, I'm talking about the off-season trade signings, the draft. We're gonna do something for the draft. It's we got plenty to talk about even during the off-season, folks. We're hockey fucking fanatics. I'm addicted to the hockey game here, to NHL, to the NHL trade deadline, to the free agency, to the playoffs, to the regular season, whatever you want. So,
hey, real quick too, Rick. We already spoke about Colorado. I think they're actually in a pretty good spot cap wise. They got, they have to McKinnon's on contract next year, so like next summer they're gonna have to figure out his contract extension. But as of right now, he's like they got their whole core back next season. I'm sure they could get Lehkonen signed, and we'll see what happens with Kadri. But we already kind of spoke about them. What do you think Tampa does next? Like, do they make any changes? Do they stick with the same squad?
Oh man,
they had a great run for sure. Like
I know,
and they're still good. But I wonder, like, do they try to add anything? Do they leave it the same? Like, who could they re-sign? I think if they're smart, they'll try to re-sign
Nick Paul.
Yep.
100%. I was just going to mention him because I didn't even know who he was until you brought him up about that during that trade deadline when they acquired him. And, no, he's good. And I think he fits that system very well. I don't know their current cap. I know they always play with I don't know what their current cap is because I always know they play with the LTIR during the playoffs or when the playoffs come and blah, blah, blah. But if they could afford him, definitely re-sign him. I don't know who would leave. That's the thing. I really don't know their current cap situation. Definitely got to re-sign a guy like Paul. I think he's just a key penalty killer, a key all-around grinder who can put the puck in the net. I mean, it's no secret if you watch him that he goes hard to the boards. He's not scared. He's not shy. He's not, So I definitely think you got to keep him. Obviously, the core guys you got to keep. I mean, Palat, I believe, is coming up on a new contract. So I mean, you were mentioning, I think, last episode that if not last episode, maybe I was talking to you during the week. That's like Stamkos' boy. Like he's like, no, I want Palat on my line. Like when we play, I think you were telling me that. And hey, if they can afford him, great. I don't know their current cap situation. I'm basically repeating myself, but I wonder if Palat's the type of player that's like, just pay me $5 million for one more year. Let's run it back. You know what I mean? Instead of being like, no, I want 3 years, $8 million, blah 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 blah. You know, I'm really curious to see how that
Rick,
plays
are you
out.
there? I think I'm losing you a little bit.
Well, I hear you loud and clear. If you didn't hear
Rick?
me, that's not a good thing, folks. We got Jack Farris in and out towards the end of the podcast. That's
Rick,
all right.
Rick, you're cutting out a bit.
Yeah, you should.
I knew you were talking about Palat, but you're cutting out.
That's all right. It's all right. We'll repeat it real quick for the folks.
You there, Rick?
Oh, I'm here. Well, this is a good ending right here. This is a good ending. At least we got the whole podcast done, folks. Jack Farris on the line, going in and out. You gotta love it. I called it. It's all good though, because we got the whole podcast done. Hey, if Jack Farris wants to hang up and call me right back, so he's not driving anymore, that's fine. We could do.
Oh, Rick, I hear you now.
Oh, he hears me. It's magic. It's magic.
Rick, I got good service on my phone here, so I don't know what's going on.
I got good
heard
service.
you talk real quick. I heard you talk about Palat. That's a guy they're going to want to re-sign. And like you were saying, like I mentioned it last time, like a guy like him, almost any team in the NHL would want him. So he could definitely go get paid and get more money if he wants.
Absolutely.
But if he wants to stay in Tampa, he probably knows he's going to have to take a little less money because they only have so much cap space.
Right, that's what I was saying.
We'll see what happens there. But he's a damn good player, so I'll be interested to see what happens with him. But yeah, if they could get Palat back and sign Paul to an extension, and Nick Paul's, I doubt he'll break the bank, but you're going to have to pay him accordingly. He's a solid player. I imagine he's going to want something close to $4 million or something like that, right? Like
maybe. I don't know. $4 million for Nick Paul?
Something in the $3.5, $4 million range, I would think. Maybe he'll take a little less because Tampa, it's a good tax state. He knows it's a good team. You never know, but I just wanted to touch on Tampa. I think on Tampa's wish list, if they had the money for it, would be like a right-handed shot D-man that can move the puck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think they'll be able to afford it. Because their left side is great. It's all Sergachev, McDonough, Hedman. The right side, they got Cal Foote, who is kind of up in the air still. He's solid, but then sometimes he's out of the lineup, and he's definitely not like a puck-moving D-man, right? You got Jan Ruda, who's okay. He's definitely not a bad player. But I think they could use a good right-handed shot D-man that can move the puck, I'm trying to like a Tony DeAngelo type of player, like a guy that moves the puck well in the power play, is scores some goals for them, stuff like that. But those guys don't come cheap, so I don't know if they'll be able to do it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure how they play out. Who knows? Do they get better? Do they regress because they lose Paul and Palat? Stuff like that. It's gonna be interesting. Definitely something to look forward to. I can't believe you brought up Tortorella. I want to bring up another coach real quick. I can't believe Trotz. I don't think he's gonna coach. I don't know too much, but I remember seeing that he didn't decide anywhere, and I think he said he's not gonna coach. I don't know if that's 100% true. I don't know if he's just saying that now and then maybe closer to the season, and I don't know though. But a guy like that good of a coach to walk away from the game is a little sad to see. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure.
He's announced that he turned down the Winnipeg Jets offer and said that he won't coach next season. So let's see how long that lasts.
I heard a rumor he bought a house in Nashville apparently. So he may. I've heard rumors he may look to go into management. So maybe he doesn't want to be a coach.
Right.
he may want to maybe he wants to become a general manager, at some point here. So, maybe he goes with Nashville on in a management role. Like, you never know.
Right. Listen,
that sounds pretty crazy to turn down that type of money, but.
Yeah, listen, I bet that I bet that we'll find out officially by the start of the season what his plan is, whether he's just retired and he wants to be back at home and with his family or whatever, or he's going to coach somewhere, whether it's NHL level or whatever, or he's into management. So I think we're going to know by next season. And we just lost Jack Farris, folks, but that's all right. Rick Adams will keep the show going until Jack Farris calls back. And that's really about it. We got a lot more coming. We got tons of more content coming. We got to talk about the NHL Draft coming up. We got to plug that in. I think we got Jack Farris back here. Jack, say what's going on. Doesn't seem like we got him. The guy tells me that he's in the parking lot, not moving a muscle, but it's all good. Keep the show going. But, folks, you got to wonder what's going to happen at the draft. We all know that Montreal is going to pick Shane Wright. We're going to save most of this for the draft special that we're going to do. And that's it. I want to do something special for the draft. I don't know if we'll do a live one. I don't know what we'll do, but we're going to figure out something. And it's going to be great, folks. Jack, you still with us?
Yeah, the draft's going to be interesting.
There he is.
Yeah, it's going to be in Montreal. So, what do you think, Rick? Should we take a trip up to Montreal? Try to get into the draft room? Tell them that we're in a part of the JNR podcast?
Well, I'm probably not allowed to go due to medical reasons that I do not want to talk about on the podcast. I would love to talk about it off the podcast. Not allowed to go due to medical reasons, unfortunately. But anyway, folks, I think that's about it. I really don't have much to talk about more. You all know what we're going to talk about next episode. We're going to be talking about the draft. We're going to be talking about the free agency. I really can't wait.
I wonder if any trades go down at the draft, because every year it happens.
Yeah, I think we're going to see. I think it's going to be a busy NHL draft, trade-wise. I think it's going to be a busy one. Because I think there's guys that just need to... There's so many teams that need to free up cap for free agency after. So I think we're going to see it. I really do. I really think we're going to see a lot of teams make moves to clear up cap to get guys. So we'll see. Leave it at that, honestly.
Yeah, you're going to see Jack Farris calls it now. Kevin Fiala from Minnesota Wild. He's going to be moving on. Bill Guerin's going to trade him. And Jack Farris calls it right now. Bold prediction, folks. I'm going to have Rick put it on the Instagram. Jack Farris calls it now. Kevin Fiala is going to be traded to the New Jersey Devils.
What makes you say that?
Two things. New Jersey has a lot of cap space. I hear Fiala is not happy with Minnesota's offer, and I think Minnesota doesn't have a lot of cap space because of all that buyout. They have a lot of dead cap space with the Suter and Parisi buyouts.
Right.
And Minnesota's got their whole team locked in besides Fiala. So I think Fiala is going to get traded because they won't be able to afford his contract. And I think it's New Jersey because they have cap space, and Nico Hischier is a Swiss guy just like Fiala. So I think New Jersey might have the Swiss line going, Fiala and Hischier.
All right, well, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Yeah, we're definitely going to do a podcast before the draft and just to talk about, NHL draft preview. That will be our next episode. We'll dive into, during the draft, we'll dive into post-draft and then free agency coming soon, folks. That's about it. Congratulations to the Colorado Avalanche. Congrats to Joe Sakic. And that's really all I got, folks. What about you, Jack?
That's all I got, too. Same thing. Congrats to Colorado. They did great. Congrats to Gabe Landeskog, captain, McKinnon, all those guys. Yeah, it was a great series. And, yeah, we're going to dive in. It's almost that time of year, the fun time of the hockey season, the off-season, all the moves and whatnot. So it's going to be fun to go through this and, make some podcasts for you guys and see how this goes. But it's a fun time of year to be a hockey fan. And then, you you have a little break from hockey in the summer in a few months, and that's it.
Yeah, listen, that's it, folks. That's all we got.
I'm excited for the draft for sure.
Oh, yeah. All right, folks, that's it. That's it for JNR's Puckhouse. Rick Adams logging off, logging out, hitting the gym. Let's talk about it.
Later, fellas. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, later.